In this video, I'm going to be discussing the Tesla Powerwall 2 that I had installed at my house this week. Hey, I'm Jaime Greene, the Solar Queen, and welcome to my channel where I talk about all things solar, commercial, residential, batteries, information, and education that you may need or want to know before making that decision to go solar. So if you like this kind of content, make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell and hit all notifications so that you are informed of when I release a new video. Okay, so this week, I had my Tesla Powerwall 2 installed at our home. So here's a little picture of our Tesla Powerwall installed. And you will see that it is installed next to an existing inverter. So this inverter actually is tied in to our existing solar system that we had installed 3 years ago. And we actually are having a Tesla Model Y delivered, hopefully, fingers crossed, next month. We're preparing for the Tesla to be delivered and to have solar power to charge our Tesla that we are going to be driving. And also our children are using much more energy than we had planned when we got our solar system installed, our first solar system installed 3 years ago, not months. And so we are planning for the future. And while the tax credit is still 26%, we decided, let's go ahead and do this. And what really prompted us to get the Tesla Model Y ordered was that my husband's vehicle ended up dying. So we are down to one vehicle, and thanks to my mother-in-law, she's letting us borrow her car until the Model Y is delivered. So I help homeowners go solar and save on their energy costs and help save our planet and live off of renewable, sustainable energy, which I encourage every homeowner that can go solar, they should consider going solar, and businesses should go solar too, because they not only get the tax credit, but they have depreciation of the assets that they can depreciate and making the ROI that much faster. But back to the Tesla Powerwall that we got installed. The reason why we had more solar installed was to prepare for the Model Y that we're taking delivery next month. So I sold my own deal to myself, and I had my installer come out and install Tesla 425 watt panels up onto my rooftop. And here's another image of the installation. This day that I was having the panels installed was the day that I actually said, hey, is it too late to get a Powerwall? And he said, no, technically not, because we have to do some revisions to the plans because you actually need some more electrical work done to support your solar system that we weren't anticipating. And I said, well, then let's go ahead and put it in there. So I created a change order, and I added the Tesla Powerwall to the design. And so a couple months later, here we are. Powerwall is now installed at our house. So the panels are installed, the Powerwall and the backup gateway and all the backup loads and everything are installed. And we're waiting for the tie-in now because we've been having some rain here in Northern California. So the installers have to come in and tie in what the electricians did earlier this week. So after the tie-in is done, they're gonna commission the system and go through final inspection and get the permission to operate, which my understanding is because we already have an existing NEM, which is a net energy metering agreement, it should not be a problem to just combine the two, and then our two systems will be generating more than enough energy for our home. And with gas prices in California being $4.75 to $5 a gallon, so adding the Powerwall, adding the extra solar and the Tesla, it just makes financial sense for us. I don't know what you guys are like, but for us, it made more sense than paying hundreds of dollars every month just for gasoline. So, and with me being the Solar Queen, it's really important to live with sustainability and renewable energy and recycling and all these good things that I'm teaching my children, and hopefully sharing and encouraging you guys to do the same. So the Tesla Powerwall 2, why did I get a battery? We didn't get a battery with the first system, and the reason being is because we weren't having public safety power shutoffs. The very first public safety power shutoff that happened in California happened 2 years ago, and the power was shut off for five days. So many people lost so much food. They lost, they didn't have heat. They didn't have any ways to cook because If they have electric stovetop or oven, they're without power. They can't cook their food. If they, I mean, I heard so many stories in the news about how that power shut off affected people and businesses that the demand for batteries started shooting up. Now here's something about solar systems and being grid tied and not having a battery. If you have a solar system, or if you have a solar system installed onto your home and you don't get a battery, if there is a power shut off, your solar system is going to rapidly shut off as well. Because if it's during the day and there's a lot of energy being generated by your solar system and there's a down powered line 3 miles down the road, they're gonna cut your solar system off. Your inverter, there's a piece of equipment that converts the DC energy into AC energy that is usable in the home and throughout the power lines. If there's a down powered line and your system's hot and live and sending out power, it could harm that lineman working on the down power line. So your inverter, it's a piece of your solar equipment, knows when the power grid's down. And if it senses it, it's gonna shut off your solar system and not produce any energy. And it won't turn back on until it senses a steady flow of energy. I believe it's about 5 seconds of continuous energy flowing through the grid. So that's when the solar system will kick back on. And especially if it's during the day and the sun's out, then you're gonna start generating more energy. Your solar system does not work or produce energy to your home when there's a power shut off anywhere in the grid that you're tied to. If you have a backup battery, it will be a seamless switch from solar to battery power if the rest of the grid goes down. So for 5 days, the only people that had any source of energy were people that had solar and a backup battery, or people who had a generator. So generators are great. They provide whole home. A lot of them some of these really big generators, like the Generac generators that get installed on like a cement slab and tied into your home in the main service breaker. Those type of generators provide whole home backup solutions. They're very expensive. They take fuel and they're kind of loud. So some people don't mind that, and that's what they want to do. Financially, it probably makes better sense to go that way, because if you take care of it and maintain it for all the decades that generator will survive, you might see a better ROI on a generator. But some people, especially if they're all about sustainable living and renewable energy, a generator requiring the fuel, they don't want, and maintenance, they don't want to deal with that. So if they get solar and they get a backup battery to go with that, it's going to be a seamless switch from solar power to backup power. You won't even know that you're battery powered. So that's one of the benefits of having a backup battery, is that if the power grid goes down, you'll be operating off of your battery instead of the grid until it's restored. If you know that your power has gone down, your neighbor's power has gone down, I would still go into conservation mode with your battery, because your battery only stores a certain amount of kilowatt hours with depending on the size of the battery. With the Tesla Powerwall 2, you can store 13.5 kilowatt hours of power, but they want you to keep a reserve and not deplete it completely. So maybe you have 12.5 kilowatt hours of stored power to use in a power shutoff, like if the power goes down. So keep that in mind. The other benefit of a battery is if you live in an area where your utility company has bills you on a time of use billing structure. Time of use has peak and non-peak hours, and most of your energy that the solar system is going to generate is during those non-peak hours, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the wintertime. And obviously it's going to be like this. It's going to be a bell curve, and the vast majority of the energy is during those non-peak hours. So if you have a battery and you have it set to be able to fire off or start working for you during those peak hours, you can program your battery to do that. You will generate your you'll load up your battery with the backup power from the solar system that it's generated while simultaneously powering your home. Once the battery is charged off, it's topped off and done, any excess energy that you are not using in your home at the moment is going to go out to the grid. The utility company is going to sell that energy at a profit and give you a kilowatt hour credit. Usually it's going to be during those non-peak hours. So you're going to get a non-peak kilowatt hour credit that goes into your net energy metering account with the utility company. Then you can program your battery to start discharging during those peak hours. So from 4 to 9 p.m. is generally when the utility company has set their peak hours. If you pull from your battery all the energy that you stored up during those non-peak hours, so you're not paying or debiting from your net energy metering account those non-peak kilowatt hours at a peak kilowatt hour rate, because it's more expensive during the peak hours. So it's called time of use shaving, and you can exchange instead of it being like a 1 to 0.75 exchange, it's a true 1-to-1 exchange since you loaded up that battery during those non-peak hours. Once you've hit your reservoirs, the battery stops. Usually, hopefully, you've made it through until 9 p.m. If not, then it's just minimal. And then you're going to debit from your net energy metering credits that you overproduced during the day or earlier in the year. Because it's they roll over every month in the PG&E territory. Some don't roll over month to month. It all depends on your utility company, but this is where a battery comes in really, really handy for those peak hours. So that's the benefit of backup batteries. Tesla Powerwall, Enphase, Generac, LG, Stores. There's lots of different batteries that are on the market. I think Solar Edge is coming out with a battery. Some of them have different limitations than others. Some have higher storage capacity, but if you do decide to get a battery, it is better to get the battery installed with your solar system. And the really great thing is a lot of the finance companies will finance the batteries, and the batteries can also be included in the 26% federal tax credit for going solar in the years 2021. We are only just a few, I guess, 9 days away from the end of the year. And then into 2022, you have that entire year to go solar to be able to be eligible for the 26% federal tax credit. We'll see what happens. Maybe they'll extend it, maybe they'll increase it again. We don't know, I don't know. But what I do know is set for 26% for all of next year. So if you're thinking of solar for either your home or your business, you should really, really consider doing it now and taking advantage of the tax credit, taking advantage of the, if you're a business, depreciation, and get storage if you need it. And if you are a business and you need car chargers because you have customers who are going to be driving a lot more electric vehicles, that's another thing to consider having installed as well. And you should really reach out to me for any of your solar energy needs and questions that you may have. So that is it for this video. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and reach out to me if you're interested in solar. I really appreciate you guys watching this video, and I will keep you up to date on when my battery is commissioned and when it's starting to store solar energy that our solar systems are generating, and where we're living as much off the grid as possible. So have a great day. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.